You are welcome.
Anybody else have any great recommendations on what to do in winter and COVID times?
If you're willing to walk in the snow, get yourself out to Kent Park, drive like a quarter turn to the right, all the way back around to the, what's it called? Conservation Education Center. And there's some really solid trails back there. You can go for miles.
That's great.
Barb?
Yep.
I just listened to a news conference with Reynolds, and it looks like 1st of February, people over 65 will be eligible, start getting in line for shots. So I thought that was good to hear for many of us in Rotary.
That is great. Now, I was in a meeting yesterday that remember that all vaccines are being, managed at the county level. And the one thing they said about Johnson County is that you have to remember that we have 3 hospitals and a lot of senior centers and things like that. And that, compared to other counties where there might not even be a hospital or only one hospital, that's part of the challenge in Johnson County is to deal with the amazing number of healthcare workers that we have in our county.
She made a comment that we were 49 out of all the states of allocations of getting a vaccine, and that she was seeing that it was going to be hopefully upped in the next couple weeks. So hopefully that's true.
I hope so.
I was at the CBJ Economic Summit yesterday, and they had Suresh, the COO of the hospital.
Right.
And he made a statement that they were going to start vaccinating about February 1st, a lot of people, and we could get shots there. He was talking about doing 10,000 a day.
Wow.
There's not that much vaccine, Vern. Right now, Iowa's getting, Governor Reynolds said 19,000. I think we're actually getting 40 because some of it's directly going from the feds to long-term care. But think about, even if it's bumped up a little bit to 50,000, you've got probably 1 million people between 65 and over and 500,000, and then the other people that have been identified. So you got 1 million people at 50,000 doses coming into the state a week. That's the function.
So that's
it will be an interesting
I would think that
spring.
university though would have, because they did this testing early on the vaccine, I would think they'd have a lot of pull.
Well, there are a lot of universities around the country.
Yeah, but how many helped in the testing the vaccine when it first came out? That was what we did here, which was, I think, good.
Yeah, well, hope you're right.
Yeah, I do too. Well, that's all. I just relating what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, there are plenty of people. Hy-Vee has said that they're going to be, in fact, if you saw, Linda saw the governor's press conference, Hy-Vee was featured at the press conference talking about how their clinics are going to be used. And they mentioned, for example, the Coralville Clinic has already been involved in doing some of the long-term care facility work. So what Governor Reynolds also said is within the next week, because remember, this takes effect February 1, the new expansion to 1B. What Governor Reynolds said, within the next week, we'll come up with more exact instructions as to exactly how this will be laid out. I think there needs to be some kind of sign-up sheet, or you're going to have people just going crazy. And where's that going to be done? How's Johnson County going to coordinate across the whole jurisdiction? What's Iowa County going to do? Because, they may not have the same capacity as Johnson County because you want a little bit of equity. So there's a little bit of detail, the devil in the detail thing, you have to come. And I'm going to shut up, Barb.
Well, thanks for our COVID update, everybody. See, one
Yes.
more reason to come to a Rotary meeting, right? You learn more from other people in our community who are kind of connected. So what was that, Bernie? Oh. Okay, so it is 12:04. We'll get started with our meeting. My name's Barb Thomas. I'm your president for the year. And every time we start our meetings, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So feel free, stand if you can, and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you all. Happy sunny Thursday to us all. We will get started right away. I'm going to turn it over to Devin for a few Zoom reminders. Devin?
Thanks, President Barton. Quick Zoom reminders, check out your view options, probably in the top right corner. If you're on mobile, it'll look like either a little grid or a little square. You can choose between looking at the speaker. So you're either seeing me very large or you're seeing a grid of all of your fellow Rotarians. I encourage you to look at your fellow Rotarians while the speaker isn't on, but then switch to that speaker view. When the speaker is presenting, you can slide in the middle. There should be a little line. If you're on a computer, you can slide to see how much of the speaker you want to see versus how much of the presentation. And I find myself sliding that back and forth depending on what they're talking about or how much I want to pay attention to their facial expressions. So that's an option for you. Then you'll want to look at the participants tab. If you have questions or if you want to introduce a guest or visiting Rotarian, you can raise your hand there so that we can call on you in order. And then finally, just for some fun, there's reactions. So you can do like a whole, oh, wow, there's all kinds of stuff here. There's like a party emoji, there's a little heart, and a crying emoji. Not sure in which context you would use that. If the presenter is just so good that you're brought to tears. So hopefully, David, that'll be at the end of your presentation. That's all I've got. Back to you, Barb.
Great, thanks so much. So we're going to give everybody the opportunity to practice some of those Zoom skills, in that we're going to go for introductions. So if you have a guest to introduce, or if you want to introduce yourself, please go to the participants tab at the bottom, and you can raise your hand, and then Devin will call on you. And so Devin, I'm going to take it back to you because it looks like we have a couple of introductions.
Perfect, thanks. Aaron Schaefer, you've got a guest visitor.
I do. My guest is our speaker today, and I'll do a more formal introduction. David Rettig has joined us.
Perfect. Welcome, David. Glad to have you. Alyssa, you have a guest or visitor?
I don't. I just have a quick announcement, because normally at this time we have Ryan Bell has like 5 guests that he likes to introduce. And I know how much Rotary really means to Ryan. And I just want to give Ryan a shout out. Tomorrow is his birthday. He's going to kill me and he's going to be so embarrassed. But I know how much Rotary means to him, and how if you want to see Ryan, tell him happy birthday. But happy birthday, Ryan. We love you. So.
Yay. Happy birthday, Ryan. All right. Thanks, Alyssa. John Kenyon, you have a guest or visitor?
I believe I do. Anna Barker, I believe, is with us again today. And so I wanted to welcome her. She's a professor at the University of Iowa and member of the City Literature Board. And we've started conversations about having her join us as a member.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Welcome, Anna. You want to say a word or two to everybody?
Hi.
Perfect. A word. All right. And Nancy Quellhorst, you have a guest.
Hi, everybody. You may remember Brent Karstensen. He's been my guest several times when we were meeting in person, and it's a pleasure to have him back. He's currently doing project management work and will be joining the club soon.
Perfect. Thanks, Nancy. Welcome, Brent. You want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. My wife and I have recently relocated to Iowa City from Chicago, and we're looking for ways to become more engaged in the community, as well as looking for some potential career opportunities. And it's just a pleasure to be with you and potentially look to joining.
Perfect. Well, welcome, Brett, and thanks for considering us. We'd love to have you. Ryan Bell, you've got your hand raised.
Yes, I've got Jesus Garcia here once again. Jesus, you want to say hi to everybody? You're on mute, buddy.
Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Jesus Garcia. I live in Iowa City, Iowa. Happy to be here, and looking forward to learning new strategies from you guys. And yeah, thank you.
Well, welcome, Jesus. We're glad to have you. Let's see. That is everyone that I see that has their hands raised. Anybody else that has a guest or is a visiting Rotarian? All right, back to you, President Barb.
Great. Thank you so much, Devin. So welcome to all of you guests. Thrilled to see you here. And, let us know if there's other information that you need or want about our club. I know I've talked to Brent a couple times about volunteer opportunities. Knowing what I know about Brent, he would make a fabulous Rotarian because he and his wife are very involved in a number of different volunteer activities. So if you think any of your friends, or if you're a guest, if you think you fit the term service above self, we really want you to think about joining our club because there's lots of opportunities for you to get involved. And you can participate in committees, whether it's small work or a lot of work, there's lots of options. So speaking of committees, we're actually going to have a very quick committee update from Kelly Staub, who is on our newsletter committee. Kelly?
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. I am on the Note Takers Committee, and there are 4 of us. There's Tara Minettos, Joe, and Andrea Rhodes. We take the minutes from the meeting and send those out after the meeting. So if you have any updates or questions regarding those, you can reach out to us. If you're interested in joining and you'd like taking notes, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to add you to the schedule. We are glad that we're able to give you a summary if you're not able to make the meeting. So thanks.
Great. And thank you to Kelly and your full committee on the work that you do. What I really appreciate is that sometimes when we're doing a program and we know there's a great link for, like last week when we heard about the Ponseti method and that there was a link of the story that you could go watch on YouTube, we're able to kind of give that information to the committee and then they make sure that it's in those notes. So just something to think about, especially if you're doing announcements or something like that, that this is a good way to inform our members about different opportunities as well. So thanks, Kelly, and to your entire committee for all of your work. Now, I want to let everybody know we do have a goat rider today. So Kim Casco, I want you to get ready. I'm not going to call. I'm going to give you a little reprieve. Get yourself psyched for the goat riding. But in the meantime, we're going to go to Dave Brown for our Rotary moment of gratitude and positivity. Dave, you want to take it away?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Barb reached out to me yesterday and asked if I would do the moment of gratitude and positivity. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I'm going to read because I haven't memorized it yet, but I jotted some notes down. If I don't read, I have a tendency to ramble, so I'm going to save you that if you'll just pardon my delivery on this here. I recently heard a podcast where a guy was talking about the American view of inalienable rights. The context is another rabbit hole that I don't want to go down, but what I found interesting on these particular comments was particularly the phrase, the pursuit of happiness. As Americans, we're familiar with the text. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The guy on the podcast elaborated on the phrase, the pursuit of happiness. He said, it's not happiness itself that's the right, but it's the pursuit of this goal that the nation's authors set out to make available to us. What we achieve to this end is up to each one of us. Many will attribute their inability to achieve happiness as circumstance or the fault of another. But the price that is paid for this thinking is a further spiral into a deepening confusion of why many wallow in the misery of their own creation. We can't afford to wait for external circumstances to bring us any measure of peace or happiness. Life will speed by and we'll miss out on a lot. So what can we do? There's a couple solutions, but they often require the understanding that we, each one of us, are the authors of our own lives. And I have 2 suggestions that I try to practice, and they seem to work pretty well. So I'm going to share those. One is on shifting our perspective. I challenge myself to try to challenge my thinking on a daily basis, how I look at life. And the second one is I dive headfirst into service when I can, which is why I wanted to be a member of Rotary. Deb Sofield, a highly sought after public speaker, said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. A paradigm shift may be all you require to set your feet right. So I've got a few examples. First one's a bodybuilder who is grateful for sore muscles because that means that he's growing, he's doing something right. Another example is when I moved here, somebody warned me of winter, but then followed up that they were glad it could be tough. And I found that's the same thing, because if it wasn't tough, too many people would move to Iowa and that would disrupt the charm. To me, winter has become easier price to pay when I think about the beautiful state I get to live in and the much more pleasant summers here than I'm accustomed to. It's a easy trade for me. Stephen R. Covey once said, between stimulus, which is what happens to us, and response, which is how we react to what happens to us, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose. If you want to have more influence in your life or your emotions are getting in your way, you can choose to carry your own weather. This is one of my favorite phrases now. So this is literal or figurative, but don't wait on the sunny day to be happy. Be grateful for the rain, or this time of year, be grateful for the snow, and the sunny days will bring that much more joy when they do come. So maybe it's actual weather, like in my case, where on a snowy day, I wake up at 2:30 a.m. and start calling people to come in and get to work by 4. But it also means that snow quiets the world and very few are around in these early hours. It's a time where I choose to enjoy the cleanliness and the calmness and recharge myself. There's very little that compares to the peace of a muted world with the graceful drift of flakes and the beauty of everything blanketed in white and crystal. It's a time that I'm not at my desk reformatting documents or watching my budgets dwindle or thinking about employee problems. But these two give me perspective. Maybe the weather's figurative, like COVID, which is relevant right now, and COVID bringing a storm of fear and loneliness. Though this is much harder to navigate, it can certainly bring perspective of gratitude when we finally get together again with friends, families, Rotarians, give each other a hug or share a meal. So will we learn to take life for granted, or we learn not to take life for granted? And will our magnitude be more magnified by the time, or will our gratitude be more magnified by the time we get back? Maybe the metaphorical weather is political climate. I've personally discovered that news makes me absolutely miserable, but I also discovered it's up to me to turn the news off and to allow myself a little bit of reprieve and happiness, and to not get upset by others' opinions and understand that they're coming from their own perspective. In this space just beyond any stimulus, I choose to define my own worldview in a way that's much kinder and more tolerant. And I find I care a whole lot less about elephants and donkeys. It certainly helps my relationships, and it helps me keep my feet on the path pointed towards the pursuit of happiness. The confusion and insanity of the modern world seems a whole lot less imposing. I found if you look for good, you'll find it. At the same time, if you look for bad, you'll find it. And that doesn't mean it's always there. It's just what you're looking for. Pursuit of happiness, for which many have spilt the blood for us, does not guarantee our happiness. Our freedoms and happiness are an ideal. It's simply a potential. There are never guarantees, just daily choices, each choice one by one. One choice I found in happiness is serving others. And to this end, Rotary had much appeal for me. So I take a lot of pride that I'm one of Ryan Bell's recruits. I was an easier recruit, but I still take a lot of pride in that. There's an article on the internet in Inc. called 5 Psychological Benefits of Putting the Needs of Others Before Your Own. Matthew Jones explains in this article some of the research that correlates putting others first with happiness, the happiness that it brings to those who have a servant's heart. I'd recommend reading it if you can, and if you need to, reach out and I'll send you that link. Service above self, or anything else that leads to greater happiness, is not usually easy. It's just the point. It's the effort. The effort cools the herd and also makes it worth it. Service, like the bodybuilder embracing discomfort or the lifestyle, will yield the results. The interim sacrifice may seem hard, but it's the price of enhancing life's quality. Real happiness often follows elevating oneself through cheerful and willing self-discipline. Viewing the world through a positive lens can be challenging, as we're all finding out now. And a group such as this club really helps because it brings strength and all the great examples that we have in this club. And it's for this reason I'm very grateful to be in this club, and I'm very humbled by that. And I'll leave with this this piece of a poem by Rabindranath Tagore, who is a Bengali poet. He said, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and beheld service was joy."
That is great. Thank you so much, Dave, for putting the thoughts behind that. I love so many of those different thoughts that you did. This is a great time for us to all practice those reactions. Definitely, for me, that's an absolute great job. Thank you so much. Now, you may not know it, but Dave is actually in charge of landscaping at the University of Iowa campus, and he will actually be a program speaker for us in February. So stay tuned, come back and hear about how Dave is working to transform the University of Iowa campus in February. So thank you again, Dave. And now we move on to our goat rider. So for those of you that may not be familiar with this is another Iowa City Noon Rotary Club tradition in that we ask our newer members to what we call ride the goat. You don't really ride a goat, but basically you have 3 minutes and no more than 3 minutes to tell us about yourself. And so this week is new member Kim Casco. So Kim, if you are there, you can unmute. You will have 3 minutes. I have my handy timer on my phone ready. And just know that I'm going to give you a few visual cues of when you have 1 minute left, when you have 30 seconds left, and then when you need to stop. Okay, and if you go a little bit too far past that stop, unfortunately, we're going to have to mute you, because if we were actually in person, everybody would just clap over you and you wouldn't be able to be heard. But, you know, in the world of Zoom, we have power with the power to mute. So Kim, are you there and are you ready?
Yep, can I share my screen? I do have some
Yeah,
visual.
why don't you go ahead and do that?
Awesome. Can you see?
I can see your screen, but not your PowerPoint.
Hold on. Let's see.
Don't worry, I haven't started the timer yet. Giving you technical time.
Yeah, this, okay. Screen 2, it's not showing that I'm.
There you go. Are you ready?
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
All
I'm
right.
starting my timer too.
Go.
Great. Hi, everyone. It's super hard to follow Dave there. That was awesome. I'm Kim Casco. I'm president and CEO of the Iowa City Area Business Partnership, and this is me in 3 minutes. I was born in Queens, New York, and then my family moved to a town called Pearl River that is about 20 miles northwest of New York City when I was about 4. I've got 2 parents and 3 younger siblings that are all still back there. I haven't seen them now in over a year due to COVID, and so I'm really anxious to get back there soon. I went to undergrad at Bucknell University in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, go Bison, where I studied business and psychology. And then after graduating college, I got my first job with PricewaterhouseCoopers in New York City as an IT consultant. And I implemented large-scale ERP systems across the country. After getting tired of the travel and the consulting world, I moved to Silver Spring, Maryland, where I took a job as a career counselor in the business school at the University of Maryland. And then after 3 years there, I decided to pursue my master's degree, which took me to the Chicago area. I got my master's in higher education administration from Northwestern University. And after that, I worked for the University of Illinois system at their Chicago campus, doing change management work for their Office of Business and Finance. All this time, I was moving my cat with me, who was a birthday present on my 16th birthday. In this picture, she was about 20 years old. She was not crazy about moving to Iowa. But I did move to Iowa in 2010, and it wasn't for a job. It was through eHarmony. Actually, I met my now husband through there, and we got married in 2014 in Iowa City because we wanted to get the New Yorkers out to see this great place. Those are my parents with Herky there. And been grateful I have a number of different jobs across the town. I did part-time work for the Friends of the Animal Center Foundation, part-time work for ICAD, then landed a full-time job at ACT doing org development and org effectiveness work. And then in 2016, took the job at the Iowa City Area Business Partnership. And I'm grateful, I'm blessed to lead a team of 6 strong people doing great things for this community. I have to end with this guy, Rocky, who I acquired in my work at the animal shelter when I fostered and never gave him back. He is missing a front leg and he inspires us every day. I think that's it. I am super, again, grateful to be in this wonderful town and grateful to be part of this club. Thank you.
Good job, Kim. You came in with 24 seconds to spare. So
awesome.
Excellent work. And it was great to hear all of that about you. So we're glad that the East Coast has given you up and that you are now a Midwesterner like the rest of us. So
Midwesterner at heart, I think. So thank you.
Great. Well, now it's time for us to move on to our program. I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Schaefer, who will introduce our speaker today. Aaron?
Yeah, thank you, President Barb. I am pleased to introduce David Rettig, who is a native of Middle Amana and a graduate of the University of Iowa. He is also the executive director of the Amana Colonies Convention and Visitor Bureau. He also serves as a member of the board of directors of the Amana Society and of the Amana Heritage Society, where until recently we served there together and got to know each other. He's also a certified specialist of wine. Him and his wife, Mary, who's a member of our club, opened Iowa's first custom crush winery in 2009. And I don't know what that is, so maybe he can explain that, called White Cross Cellars. And I didn't know this either, but they added a second wine shop, Prosit Wines, in August of 2019. And his wines through White Cross Cellars have won 66 medals in competition in the 10 years they've been in existence. And they're only available in the wine shop in Amana and at the Oxyoke Inn. David is going to talk a little bit about the Amana Colonies and things going on there in 2021. And David, you're on.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Let me share the screen here for us. And here we go. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about the Amana Colonies today and what's going on. And of course, the colonies, being a group from Iowa City, I assume that everybody has been to the Amana Colonies numerous times, hopefully, and hope that you will continue to support us by coming out and visiting. One of the things that you may not know about the colonies is that we are a National Historic Landmark, and the reason for that is our unique history. We are one of the United States' most successful communal experiments. We were a communal society for almost 90 years, and that changed in 1932, where we took the vote of the people and ended up changing the system from communal to being capitalistic, just like everybody else is in the United States. But it's that history and it's that culture that was developed that makes us so very unique. We're famous for handcrafted products, of course, the woolen products and the furniture shop and the beautiful furniture of solid wood that we make here. And probably you have had Amana food, bakery products, sausages, hams, bratwurst from the Amana meat market. We do consume a little beer in the Amana Colonies, and of course, I'm in the wine industry, so we do some award-winning wines also. We're also famous, and this is probably where most of you have experienced the Amana Colonies. We're famous for family-style meals. The Oxyoke, the Ronneberg, those are the 2 restaurants that serve family style here in the colonies, and they always laugh, but the saying is, if you leave one of those restaurants hungry, it's your own fault, because the food just keeps coming out. We're also becoming famous for festivals and theme weekends. Those are events that we do throughout the year, almost every month. In fact, every month this year we'll have some sort of festival or some sort of themed weekend, and we really hit different niches here. Depending on what people are interested in, there's always something going on in the colonies. You all know what that is. That really affected us last year. I happened to be at the Oxyoke on the morning of St. Patrick's Day when the governor shut everything down, and it was quite an event. Food was being cooked in the kitchen. It was being ready to be served. There were customers in the dining room, and everything just shut down. And we learned from that because of the changes that had to be made. One of the things that happened is COVID has really hit the tourism industry hard. Restaurants and lodging are probably two of the largest and hardest hit sectors of business in the United States, but it brought changes to the colonies and social distancing, masks. We had to cancel some festivals. We postponed other festivals. We modified festivals. And what we saw was lower attendance coming to the colonies. There were probably about half the number of people that we normally see on a daily basis or less this past year. So it's been a challenge, but we've learned to live with it. There are new protocols here in the colonies. Samplings. One of the things that we do in Amana is you can literally sample your way across the village. We've learned how to do the samples different than what we did before. Instead of more of the buffet line, it's now individual samples. Sanitizing between each customer, the reduced number of people in spaces, moving events to safer areas, larger areas, and we scheduled more outdoor events. So it's something that we've learned to live with. It isn't perfect, but it is a sign of the times, and it is something that we're coping with. We get asked all the time, well, are you having the festivals in 2021? What's the plan? Well, the plan is yes, we are having festivals. We've had to modify them slightly, but with the vaccine, we expect by the end of the year, we will be back to relatively normal. So the first festival comes this weekend. So if you are not doing anything, or if you want to have fun, come out to Amana on Saturday, the 23rd, and we are having Winterfest. One thing that has changed, normally for Winterfest, we have the Amana 5K freezer run. It's canceled. So if you want to run, you can, but you're not running for any prizes. We have the Winterfest games, and one of those games is the Amana ham put. So think of a shot put, but you're throwing an Amana ham. And so that will be taking place at the Market Festival area. The festival also has a little ice sculpting, open fire chili. The fire department is making chili, and I understand you may need the fire department after you eat some of this. It can be very spicy. We have a beard contest, so all of you who don't look like me and have grown a beard, you have the opportunity to win some prizes. Along with that, we are having a mask contest, so you can actually wear a mask and put a beard to it if you want. So we have that going on. And one of my favorites is the Winterfest Wine and Beer Walk. So you go from winery to winery and visit the brewery, and you will get a stamp. And when you get your entire card filled, then you will exchange that for a logo wine glass. So wine and beer walk is a lot of fun. In April, we have another festival, and that's called Take a Bite. And this is a festival for foodies. If you love to eat like I do, then you've got to come to the colonies April 16th to the 18th. There are different events, but the festival is really made up of 3 different areas. One of them is hands-on learning. You'll learn how to shoot the reed board, or you will learn how to make those wonderful soft German beer pretzels. And one of the best things, after you make the pretzel, you get to eat it, and there's also a little beer that goes along with that. There's sampling. You can sample around the colonies and try different things that are available in the shops. And we have special dinners. You can, each night of the 3-day event, there will be a special meal. It might be a communal dinner. in the only existing communal kitchen from the old communal era. It might be, it definitely will be a vintner dinner, a 5-course meal with wine pairing. There's a beer dinner planned. So a variety of different meals. It isn't just Amana food, Amana cuisine. This branches out and reaches all sorts of different cuisines. MyFest is one of the signature events. It's May 1st and 2nd, and it is famous for our Maypole dancers, the ladies that dance the traditional German Maypole dance. There's a parade on Saturday morning. We have the World on Wheels food truck fair, where we bring in food trucks of different ethnicities. So you'll find all sorts of different things to try and eat. There are Amana potato pancakes that we make, and we have another wine and beer walk on that particular day. Worst Festival. Worst Festival is, what can I say? It's a lot of fun. It is all about sausages, and it is on June 19th. This is the day, this is the Saturday right before Father's Day. So for all those guys who have to watch their weight and are supposed to be on special diets, it's a good day for them to cut loose, come down to Amana and eat all sorts of sausages. We have sausage makers from around the area, and we play games. There's Hang Dog, which you see pictured here on the left. There is Maßkrug Stemmen, where you hold a liter of beer out as long as you possibly can. So those events are taking place. There's the Best of the Worst. This is a competition between the sausage makers. You get to vote on which sausage maker you like the best. And we also have Worst University, where we guarantee you will have the worst education in Iowa. This happens to be Dean Weiner. He is the dean of the university. He will be there for photo opportunities and to handle the graduation on that particular Saturday. So come get a picture with Dean Weiner and have a great time, because at the end of the day, we have the featured event, and that is the Dachshund Derby. And here we have, we determine who the fastest wiener dog is in the state of Iowa. So we've had up to 50 dachshunds participate. There are heats that we run, and then there's the final heat. And I have to tell you, when we first did this, we thought somebody will just bring their dachshund and they'll let them run around and it'll be a lot of fun. It's not the case. Some of these dachshunds are trained runners. There is a circuit that we were not aware of dachshund derbies that people go around and they bring their dachshund, and it is something to see. You never know exactly where the dog is going to run, but the ones that are the professionals are really good. And we've had a two-time winner that ran last year, and she came in second. So there is a little bit of a rivalry taking place. So Dachshund Derby is a lot of fun. It happens at Worst Festival at the end of the event. Then one of the things we started doing is themed weekends. And from Worst Festival in June to Labor Day in September, there is something going on almost every weekend. 4th of July, we have a salute to the veterans. So we have specials for the veterans. We have a small parade that it features the veterans. We have Kinderfest. It's all about the kids, different events for the children to do. We have Bike and Hike Weekend, where we have different bike trails, and we have different walking trails and a folks march. We have BRIC, the Bike Ride of Iowa County, that takes you through a 27-mile trail that goes from Amana to Marengo and back. It's a great, relatively easy bike ride. Festival of Arts takes place, where you'll see basket weaving and all sorts of artists selling and demonstrating their craft. Model A Day, we have upwards to about 90 to 100 Model A vehicles that come in every year. And it's fun for you to, if you like old vintage cars, it's a great place to see them. Paddle the Iowa was a new event we did last year, and it is a paddling event that you put into the river by South Amana, and you paddle down the Iowa River to Homestead. Now, it doesn't seem like that's going to take that long, but it's actually because of the river winding around, it takes about 4 hours to do it. So It is dependent on the weather, of course, and on the river levels. We want to make sure that this is safe. But last year was the first event. We had close to 40 people come out, and it was a great time. Colonies in Bloom, we do it twice during the year. We do it on the 26th of June and then again on the 24th of July. This is a time where you can come and you get to go into the private yards and gardens of about 7 to 8 of the local Amana residents. And gardening is a big thing in the colonies. We have some large gardens. We have master gardeners. They will tell you all about what they've planted and how they do it. And it's a lot of fun. It is a very laid back, very fun event. We do it twice during the summer because, of course, the gardens change and the different flowers come up at different times of the year. And in the July event, which is July 24th, you will be able to see the Amana Lily Lake in full bloom. And that's the lake between Middle and Amana, and it is covered with the lotus lilies. Last year, we did something for the first time, and it was really caused by COVID, by the pandemic, and that was something called Autumn in the Amanas, and it was an 8-week event that featured something different every weekend. And we will do it. It was such a big hit during the COVID thing that we decided we'll bring it again this year. So the first event is Apfelfest, and Apfelfest translates into Apple Festival. And what you'll see a picture there of the bratwurst, that's a special brat. That is an apple and Gouda cheese bratwurst. And they are fantastic. They're slightly sweet, but they are really, really good. And those will be available on that day. Of course, there will be apple strudel and caramel apples. It's a fun event, a great family event out here in Amana. Taste of the Colonies is the next weekend. You'll be tasting all sorts of Amana type of cuisines and sampling food at the different shops. Oktoberfest is October 1st and 3rd. Now, last year we had to change that, and we made it part of what was called a touch of Germany. This year we will have Oktoberfest. I'm very confident that the vaccine will take place and everybody will be here, and we will have Oktoberfest with beer. The bands are already booked, lots of bratwurst. I will tell you, if you long for Germany and you want that feel of a German, the German culture, this is the time to come to Amana. You will wear your lederhosen. You will see people in dirndls. If you have dirndls, wear them. It is a fantastic time, and quite frankly, the only way to get a more German feel is to get on a plane and go to Munich. This is it is just a lot of fun, and expect a lot of people. Generally speaking, we have somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people that visit Amana over the 3 days. So it is a busy time, but it adds to the fun and the atmosphere. This year, on October 9th and 10th, we have the Iowa Renaissance Festival. And yes, you will see jousting. You will see knights in shining armor. It is a very interesting time. This is done not in the village of Amana, but it is done in my hometown, Middle Amana, where we have a park and kind of an open area, and they will turn it into a medieval village. It is a lot of fun. Arts and Antiques in Amana is the next weekend, where we feature our antique shopping. Now, I don't know if any of you are antique shoppers, but we are a very well kept secret on the antique front. We have about 14 different shops that have antiques. So if you're looking for something that is vintage or looking for something in a particular genre, my guess is you will find it here in the Amana Colonies. And of course, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of artists, and we have a wonderful arts guild. So that will be featured on that particular weekend. And then we have Pumpkin Fest. And Pumpkin Fest is a lot like Apfelfest, except we exchange the apples we put in pumpkins. So if you are interested in that, if you like pumpkin pie, come to the Colonies, October 23rd and 24th, and you will be immersed with pumpkins. Halloween is on a weekend, and this past year we had Hallow Weekend. We will be doing it again, And you will see people in all sorts of costumes. We had a vintner dinner that night, and these are some of the people that showed up. Mary Poppins was there. Jessica and Robert and Roger Rabbit were there, and then a couple of stiffs off of the American Gothic were there. That was me and Mary. Final weekend of autumn in the Amanas is Girls Getaway Weekend, and that is the 5th through the 7th. It is all for the ladies to come out and relax. You know what's coming up after that is Thanksgiving. The holidays are coming. You're going to have people at home. You are going to be stressed out. Come and unwind in Amana. Come to us for that particular weekend, and you will relax. And it isn't just for the ladies. Guys can come too, but we will have specials. There are special menus at the restaurants, and of course, special shopping for the ladies. Tannenbaum Forest. This, if you've not been to Tannenbaum Forest, this is the tradition that you need to start. It is every weekend, starting with the weekend right of Thanksgiving and goes to the weekend right before Christmas. So the 26th through the 19th. And the Tannenbaum Forest is our festival hall. It is a century-old dairy barn that has been transformed into a forest of decorated Christmas trees. What you'll see there is a 17-foot tall German-style pyramid. And if you're not familiar with German pyramids, these are generally desktop or tabletop type pyramids. They have candles on each corner. And when you light the candle, the heat, the air rises and it turns the paddles, and the entire pyramid will rotate around. Well, ours, we don't light, it's 17 foot tall, but what we do is it is mechanical and it turns around. So we have one of those that was built by 5 gentlemen from the Amana Colonies. We also will have on a particular day, one of the Saturdays, we have a live reindeer. This is a very popular event. And we have Santa Claus, of course, and Santa Claus that when he visits the Tannenbaum Forest, and he'll do this throughout the event, is fantastic. This is a beautiful photo opportunity for the family. Bring your camera along. Our Santa Claus will talk to the children, and literally he stays there until the last child has sat on his lap, or actually he sits in a sled or a sleigh, and we sit the child next to him. But bring your camera is absolutely a wonderful memory to make. Prelude to Christmas is one of the weekends of Tannenbaum Forest. It is when we decorate villages. They are decorated with pine boughs. At night, the streets are lit with candles. It is a beautiful, beautiful time in the Amana Colonies. The snow against the brick buildings is just, it's beautiful. And there will be special events, music, special dinners, and special shopping incentives. You may have seen in the Cedar Rapids paper, the Hotel Millwright was featured. And this is a project that was undertaken. It took about 2 years. We took the woolen mill complex, which had changed over the years. There were 17 buildings involved with the woolen mill complex, and many of the buildings weren't being used anymore. In the old days, when we would take the woolen process from the sheep all the way through to the finished product, where we would raise sheep and shear them and wash the wool and dye it, we needed all of these buildings. Now, the process is much more streamlined. We find that it's much easier and less expensive to buy the yarn ready to be woven. So that's what we do. So all of these buildings were really just being used for storage. They were starting to deteriorate, and we decided that one of the things we still need in the colonies was a full service hotel. So this project took place, and it has now been completed. We have a beautiful 65-room hotel that has very much an industrial feel to it, but yet a very modern and just a comfortable feel. The rooms are all different. They are very spacious. There is a restaurant with a chef serving gourmet food. There is a whiskey bar. And in the second floor, you can see the big brick building. The second floor of that brick building is an event center. So weddings for up to 250 to 300 guests can be held there. Meetings. It's just a wonderful new business here in the colonies. And the woolen mill, and we get asked all the time, are they still weaving? Yes, they are weaving in the main floor on that ground floor of that brick building. So they're still making blankets and still making other products that we're known for here with the woolen mill. So that's what's happening in the Amana Colonies. If you want to go to our webpage to get more information, to learn more about specific events that are going on, it's at amanacolonies.com, and you can go and find out more information. And there we go. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, let's see. Do we have any questions? If anybody wants to, you can raise your hand at this point, and or you can just unmute your microphone if you have any questions at all. I do have to say, Dave, after watching this, I want to attend like every single festival. I'm like dying for, like, somebody in the chat wrote that Worst Fest is a lot of fun, which I totally believe.
Mm-hmm.
It really does make you, makes me realize how much I miss, you know, gatherings where we can go and do some of those things. So
yeah, Barb, the festivals, I'll tell you, one of the reasons we started doing this is because so many people have come to the colonies over the years, and they say, well, we can always go to Amana. What we realized is people were doing that, but they were saying that, but they weren't coming to the colonies. And we decided, let's give them a reason, and a different reason, to come visit us again. And we found that they've become very, very popular. And now, instead of coming once a year for a big meal, people are coming 3, 4, 5 times for these different festivals. So it's worked out very nicely for us. And we try to reach all sorts of different niche markets and different interests that people have. There's if you're interested in quilting, there is a big quilting event coming to Amana this April.
that's great. That's great. And I did see that article in today's Gazette. So I highly recommend, if you get the Gazette, or if you want to go out and get the Gazette, there's a lovely article. So it's on the hotel, but it's also on a restaurant there. Do you want to give us a little bit of information on the restaurant as well?
Well, I've been to the restaurant once. It's called the Indigo Room, and it is a restaurant that there is a chef, and he will change the menu periodically. When I was there, it was like a week after it opened, and it was fantastic. It is not what people think of when they think of typical Amana cuisine. You think of the family style meal with the maybe brats or fried chicken. It's not that. It is more, how do I want to say, continental cuisine. It's going to be a very inspirational type of foods, very unique and different type of things, and a broad range. I had mussels. First time in my life I've ever eaten mussels in the Amana Colonies. It's something to come and check out. And they've got a nice selection of wine and beers, and of course they have a whiskey bar that is attached just a few feet away from the restaurant.
Got it. And so that restaurant is within the hotel Millwright, correct?
Correct. Yes, it is. It's just off the lobby.
Got it. Well, that's great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time today to talk to us and present to our club. So David, in honor of your time with us today, we will actually make a donation to Rotary International's Polio Plus program in your name. And you may not know it, but that donation will actually be matched 2 to 1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And so your speaking today the end result will be 70 vaccinations for polio. So we want to do that for you, and thanks for you spending the time with us today.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's great. Now, before we go, I'm gonna see if I can actually unmute Devin, but if people want to go to gallery view, I think, Devin, unfortunately, I don't think I can actually there. You can unmute yourself. The twins are with us. So Devin, you want to kind of, one is Elise, right?
One is Eloise and one is Chloe. And honestly, they are getting identical enough that I cannot tell at this point. I think this one's Chloe. And I think this one's Eloise. But yes, here are two smushy little babies. Let's see if I can. Yep.
I gotta hand it to you, doing double duty. They look like cherubic, I will say. You know,
they are pretty good babies.
That's great. And it looks like Aaron Schaefer has some young people joining us as well, Aaron.
What?
So let's see, Aaron, I'm gonna unmute you.
We wanted to, not many people know, but we're contemplating a move back to Amana. So we wanted to know all the things that a young family can do. And so I invited them all to watch David's talk today.
So there's Aaron's two with the youngest one who is maybe a couple months.
4 months old. Yep. 4.5 months.
Got it. So we have lots of babies going on within our club. I know that Tagba, who has joined us, he has a baby who's maybe like 2 weeks old right now. But then the other exciting news, people, since we're not meeting in person, you may not know this, but Kelly Staub, who you heard from earlier, she is going to be a mom for the first time in, I think, March, April. And so, you know, if we were in person, we would all be able to see her and kind of know that. Is that right? March or April, Kelly?
Yes, middle of April.
Oh, that's great. So you look great.
Thank you.
So that's wonderful. Hope you're feeling good. So plenty of babies all around for the Iowa City Noon Rotary Club. So that's a great thing. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful sunny Thursday. I want you to take those notes from Dave Brown to heart. It's about the effort that you put in. It's about the decision that you make on how you make your day. So thanks everyone. And if you would like to, please join me in Rotary's 4-way test. And feel free to unmute if you would like. Of the things that we think
say or do, is it the truth?
Is it fair
to all concerned?
Will it
Will it build goodwill, better
friendships,
Will it be
and will it be beneficial to all concerned?
So thank you all for coming. Thanks, Dave, for sharing everything about the Amanas. Now I want bratwurst and beers and the whole 9 yards. I want to go to the foodie night, the whole thing. I think it's great. So I know Brett Carstenson's a whiskey guy, so I'm thinking he was probably there as well, kind of thinking,
Yeah, you had me at the whiskey bar.
Excellent. Well, it's great to see everybody. So I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you.